having diarrhea. There was nothing they could do for him. The only thing I could do was take him home. My mother said, we're going to take him to my sister-in-law, to her mom. We go over there. She tells me that she's going to massage him, that she could cure him. She said, I'm going to pull his little skin in the back 3 times. She showed me on his spine. She says, and if it pops, that means that he's empachado, which means, I don't even know how to explain that in English. It's like something a child gets when they eat something that they shouldn't. He was only like 2 months old. She did it, it popped, and then she turned him over. She gave him a spoon with a little bit of white powder in it. When we were leaving, he was instantly okay. At that time, I had left my husband. I had caught him with his ex-girlfriend, and my mother had shared this information with her. When we were walking out the door, she hands me a folded up little piece of paper and she tells me, I want you to say this 3 times a day until you're happy. I said, okay. I went to the car and I read it. It says, Saint something. Do not let Mario eat, sleep, or be with another woman until I say. I told my mother, and then she says, are you going to do it? And I told her, first of all, I don't think there's a saint that you would pray to that would do harm on somebody. I ended up throwing that away. That's the sort of thing that she did. One time I was visiting my dad in the early 60s. We were playing in the backyard. He was digging something for whatever reason. He found a jar the size of a regular mayonnaise jar. And in the jar was a little voodoo doll made of cloth. It had his picture glued to the face. My dad said somebody put a hex on me. He pulled the doll out and burnt it. My dad was a womanizer. He had this one woman that he often went to spend the night with. My mother went over there to pick him up. The woman tells her, he's not going anywhere. He loves me. He tells her, I'm going home with my wife. He started laughing. She told him, you better laugh all you can, because after tonight, you will never laugh again. He was never able to laugh again. He would pass out, which was scary and unexplainable. Another time in the late 50s, my brother was walking home in the middle of the night. While he was walking, he heard a woman laugh really loud. He turned around and looked. There was this woman with a black cloak on. She's laughing and laughing, starts walking faster and starts chasing him. He's scared to death and
there is, further fueling conspiracy theories. Some believe the buzzard is a part of Russia's perimeter missile system and emits a dead hand signal. This signal will trigger a nuclear attack if it's interrupted as a result of a nuclear attack on Russia. But this is not likely, as the buzzer stops regularly. Others theorize that it is a way for Russian spies to receive secret communications across the world, though this is a difficult thing to believe due to the low transmitter power of the station. It is also believed to be just a placeholder, so that no one takes the frequency. In January 2022, the usual and familiar buzz was interrupted. The hijacker played Gangnam Style, and different anime songs, and Daft Punk, Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley, and Glory to Ukraine. They also sent spectrogram images of cartoon characters and SSTV images that were decoded into different characters. The buzz was restored, but since the Russian invasion, it is frequently hijacked to play similar songs. At the time of this episode, MDZHB is buzzing like normal. Broadcast signal hijackers are using this as a method to fight back. We have seen countless signal hijacking since the decades of the infamous Max Headroom incident. Since then, these types of intrusions have become felonies, and if caught, the hijacker can face prison and a very hefty fine. That's the key though. If caught. Very few frequency hijackers are caught and charged. In the different cases from this episode, only one, Captain Midnight, was found. Instead, these hijackers come and go, anonymously, leaving viewers confused and scared, or maybe even inspired. Attacks from hacktivists like the well-known group Anonymous have a ring of similarity to older cases. Perhaps they were their predecessors. Next time you're watching TV or listening to the local radio station, look out for a strange interruption. Next time you're watching TV or listening to the local radio station, look out for a strange interruption. It might be a joke or a song, perhaps a warning of a zombie invasion or an incoming missile. Send in your ideas for horror story to me on Instagram or via email. I'll leave it in the description of this episode. Up next, check out our other shows from Scary FM, like Scary Story Podcast or Scary Mystery Surprise. If you want to support us, try out Scary Plus over on scaryplus.com or over on Apple Podcasts. Of course, you can also help by leaving a review. Thank you very much for listening. See you soon. A family gathers around the dinner table. Their radio sits on the kitchen counter. The kids and their father sit in their seats while their mother serves each plate and sets each one down, one by one. She serves her own plate last, but before sitting down, she remembers to turn on the radio and flips through different stations. It's time for everyone's favorite show. They listen every evening during dinner. And as they're eating and laughing, the show suddenly stops, and a disturbing message plays over and over again. These radio frequency hijackings or broadcast signal intrusions don't happen often, but when they do, it ends up a mystery. And in most cases, the people that cause these are never caught. My name is Edmund. And here's a horror story. Before streaming services like Netflix or Hulu, and before network television, radio was the form of entertainment for most American households. While scientists and researchers were experimenting with radio in the late 1800s and early 1900s worldwide, in the United States, the first commercial radio stations began broadcasting in the 1920s. This kicked off the golden age for radio, which lasted well into the 1950s. Families would gather to listen to their favorite shows together. The most popular drew in millions of listeners. By the year 1931, the majority of U.S. households had at least one radio. In 1933, 60 million people tuned in to Roosevelt's first fireside chat, and in 1938, 32 million tuned in for the War of the Worlds radio drama show. It was extremely popular. When TV became widely available in the 1950s, it took over home entertainment. And check out how fast this grew. Before the year 1947, less than 5,000 Americans had televisions in their home. But only 5 years later, 12 million Americans had televisions, and by 1960, almost every household had one. Frequency hijackings happen to both radio and television signals. When it comes to radio, hijacking a signal is not as complicated as it may seem in 90 seconds of confusion and terror. Instead of music, listeners heard a man speaking in German. They could only recognize the words like Reich, Japan, and Paris.